even the U.S. Coast Guard now said that they're going to start calling the Gulf of Mexico, formerly the Gulf of Mexico, they're going to start calling that the Gulf of America. So you may be wondering how, why, how can he do this? Donald Trump made an executive order to rename the Gulf of Mexico and Alaska's mountain Denali. And this is the tallest peak in the country. So it has caused a lot of discussion. It has had a lot of controversy attached to it. Now, for some, renaming might seem not that important. Why was this something that he did day one? Why did he want to do this? This is something that folks have been talking about, so we're going to dive into it. We have a lot of problems in the country, and for myself, renaming these landmarks seems less important than some of the bigger problems that the country is facing. There is a formal process in America for renaming places, and that process is taken seriously. This is, something that they want to be taken seriously because you don't want folks to get confused. Now, usually people don't get confused. Official agreed upon names are used by the government, and that's what it is. It's laid out pretty straightforward like that. In America, place names are standardized by the U.S. Board on Geographic Names. Now, this is part of the United States Geological Survey, and the agency is in charge of making maps, right? Now, it seems like that is something that's straightforward, right? It's not too complicated there. Now, but Donald Trump in his executive order asked the board on geographic names to honor the contributions of visionary and patriotic Americans and change its policies and procedures to reflect that. Otherwise, whatever he says, that's what it should be, right? Now, usually the renaming process starts locally. People in a state or county propose a name change and gather support for said name change. The process is different in each state, but that's generally how it goes. So Minnesota recently changed the name of a large lake in Minneapolis to another name, and this was a Dakota name. And so the Dakota name for the lake has been passed down in oral history for many years, and folks in the community wanted to change the name of that lake, and they went about that process of changing the name. So the board voted to change the name, took the request to the county commissioners. When the county agreed, the request was sent to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, which made it official for Minnesota. Then the state of Minnesota sent a request to the board on geographic names, which made it official for the entire country. That's how the process worked there. And it is a lot of paperwork for something that seems to be minor, but people get passionate about place names. It took 40 years to rename Denali from the name established in the late 19th century to Mount McKinley, right? So it was called Mount McKinley. Now, the state of Alaska requested the name change in 1975, but the Board on Geographic Names did not take action. Members of the Ohio congressional delegation, President William McKinley was from Ohio, objected over many years to the requests to rename the mountain, and the board did not act on those requests. So for many years, there was that, I don't want to say a groundswell, but there were requests. The president appoints the Secretary of the Interior Department. The secretary works with the heads of regulated agencies to appoint the Board on Geographic Names. Now, current committee policy states that input from state geographic names authorities, land management agencies, local governments, and tribal governments are actively pursued. Now, here is why Donald Trump wanted to change the name of the mountain Denali in Alaska. In 2015, President Barack Obama named a new leader for the Department of Interior. Her name, Sally Jewell. Just as Obama made a trip to Alaska in late August of 2015, Jewell declared the name change under a law that allows the Secretary of Interior to change a name if the board does not act on a proposal in a reasonable amount of time. So, if you are getting what I am laying down, the real reason that Donald Trump wanted to change the name of the mountain was because Barack Obama had the name changed. All right. So the name change was done in August of 2015 from Mount McKinley to Denali. And now Donald Trump has changed the name Denali back to Mount McKinley. So the name, like I said, has been official for use by Alaska since 1975. But even more importantly, the mountain was known as Denali for generations. Right. This is something that Native Americans have done, and folks that occupied that land even before it was called America, generations. And so that is something Alaskan natives were in strong support of calling the mountain Denali. And McKinley, it was changed to, and now it's back. And maybe another Democrat's going to come and change it back. And maybe that's what's going to happen. I'm not sure why, but to me, it just seems like so many other things. Now, we talked about that. So now we're going to talk about the Gulf of Mexico, which is a little bit different. Right now, we talk about how not to change the name of a place. So renaming the Gulf of Mexico is a different case. So it's different from renaming a geographic place within the borders of America. So you have a mountain that is in America and it's in Alaska, and you change the name, America. This is the name of our place. Boom, that's what it is. But renaming the Gulf of Mexico is a little bit different because the Gulf is not within the territorial United States. On the coast, the first 12 miles from the shore are considered part of that country. But outside of that is what they call international waters. And the Board on Geographic Names could change the name to the Gulf of America on official U.S. maps. No problem with that. But there is no international board in charge of name places changes, right? So we're going to say in America, this is the Gulf of Mexico, and our maps will reflect that. But outside of America, we can't force countries to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America now. We can't. There is no way. Each country decides what to call places, and there is no official way for the United States to make other countries call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Now, it's possible that the United States could formally ask countries to change the name or even impose sanctions against countries that don't apply. Donald Trump will probably lean in that direction. But if names were officially changed in the United States by the government, the government would use the new names in official documents, signage, and maps, and all that kind of stuff. As for people and companies in the world that make maps, they usually use the official names, but there's nothing that would force them to, per se, if they believed that a certain name is more widely recognized. And so on January 24th of this year, the United States Department of Interior issued a statement on the name changes, and it said in part, in accordance with President Donald Trump's recent executive order, the Department of Interior is proud to announce the implementation of name restorations that honor the legacy of American greatness with efforts already underway. As directed by the president, the Gulf of Mexico will now officially be known as the Gulf of America, and North America's highest peak will once again bear the name Mount McKinley. The U.S. Board of Geographic Names, under the purview of the Department of Interior, is working to expeditiously update the official federal and geographic names information system, blah, blah, blah. So you have that. This is one of the pet projects, but I say the main thing with regards to the mountain, it's about being petty with regards to Barack Obama changing the name. So definitely let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, at the Diamond K Show. Of course, on YouTube, make sure you're following DJ Diamond K. Also visit us on firebroadcasting.com, thediamondkshow.com.